Buenas tardes, todos. It's really nice to see you all. And then I realized that there's a lot of participants from Latam area. It's really nice to, even though we cannot see each other, it's really nice to have you in this talk. And then I hope we can have a really nice 1 hour training. So are you guys ready? Good.
Yeah.
Let's get started. So,
Yeah.
well, I guess most of the participants today are interested in the title that we have, right? YOLO. You only listen once. Actually, whenever I travel around the world and then observe the ESL classroom, I observe lots of reading, writing, listening classes, but I barely saw listening focused kind of classes. So you might be wondering what kind of area that we're going to tap into through this listening focused training, right? So let's get started here. So first, we're going to focus on why, and then what, and then why, and then how when it comes to listening. Well, when we think about listening, we often think about passive listening skills, right? We sit there, someone talk, right? And then we kind of comprehend what they're saying about. But is it really the end of listening? We're going to look into that. And also, you might be wondering, there's a reason why we neglect listening lessons, right? Probably that's not important, which is not true. So we're going to look into why we think listening embedded the classes is important for your students, especially. And then lastly, since we are teachers, we are wondering how to build right listening lessons for our students. So we're going to go through all of this for an hour. So let's get going here. So then what is listening? When we think about listening, we often stop over here, right? Reception skills. So we often focus on our students' understanding when it comes to sound and then vocabulary comprehending. But at the same time, we need to think about this analysis skill and then synthesis skill as well too. Well, when I learn a language, when I learn English to move to the States, actually the one among most of the praise, one of the praise that got me was could have, would have. Because without knowing that the grammar function, you're not going to get any nuance of the sentence, right? So for our students to understand all the contents completely, they need to have reception skills and then also analysis skills. But on top of that, if they want to go further, yes, they need to understand background knowledges too. When it comes to the background knowledge, we often think about the theme and then also the theme related words and then like histories and extra. But when we talk about when we have a conversation with someone who has that language background, then we need to understand their culture and also their like tendency, characteristic, extra. So now I'm learning a little bit of Spanish on my own. And then before, actually, I didn't understand quite about the some sentences and then expressions and then everything. But once you get to know my Mexican fellows' tendency and then their way of talking, and then now I understand they're very nice. They're very nice. So they try not to be too confrontational. Like some of like Chinese of my friend, they're very confrontational. So once you understand their tendency, even though they say, no, let me think about it, then you kind of understand the meaning that they want to convey through those sentences, right? So listening is not quite simple as it is, as we perceive. So you need to first understand the sounds and words, and then grammar, and then through those comprehend all the nuance and then exact meaning, and then you put something on top, which is the background knowledges, and then your understanding about their culture and also their like tendencies as well. So, and well, listening now we understand, oh, it's much complex than I just perceived, right? So now, then it is important, as I stressed out from the beginning of this talk, right? Why? Why that is quite important. If you teach, especially the beginning level of students, you would understand, even though they speak something, if they don't understand the word that you are asking, then they're gonna say in a wrong sentence or wrong answers, right? So listening could be a very nice foundation for them to understand, right? So listen, speaking, yes, they need to understand fully by listening, and then they can speak in the right way. And also reading and writing, that goes with academic skills too. So when they read, they have a conversation with the teacher to make their understanding deeper, and then writing too. Before they write something, through listening and then having a dialogue with the teachers or peers, they can make it clear with it. So listening, we are not quite aware of it, but we use the most when it comes to communication, right? So once you don't have the solid listening skills, then speaking, reading, and writing, it's hard for you to develop those skills too, right? So that's why we use them the most when it comes to communication. So it's very important. And also, especially for this generation, our students' generation, they're not gonna be free when it comes to standardize the English test, right? That test is gonna hunt them down. So they need to be ready to take those TOEFL, IELTS, any kind of English test that they're given to them. And those skills are quite different from conversation skills when they use to have a conversation with their foreign friends, right? So these two skills, you need to keep that in mind when you teach listening skills. And here, then, well, we discussed fully about, yes, we use them very frequently, but as I mentioned from the beginning of this talk, we have least training when it comes to the listening, right? Why do you think so? Is there anyone who wanna say you think, you might think, oh, we have least training when it comes to listening. Why? Well, you can use the chat room. So, anyone? I don't see any answers. Okay, I guess. Oh, you don't like to listen. Oh, why do you think that we have a least training when it comes to listening, even though we use them the most frequently? No idea. Okay, I like that the frank answers. To get messages. Okay. It can be scary. Yes, I totally understand that. And right, I like that the answer from Lucero. Lucero mentioned that we take it for granted, right? So we often think that when we have English lessons, they do what I ask them to do. So probably they're developing listening skills as along with, right? So we assume. And then also someone mentioned that we are afraid of our own pronunciation. It could be too. Well, when I start to teach ESL in the States, yeah, I was afraid of that aspect too. So, okay, that's really nice ideas. So let's get going here. There's a variety of reason why we think, oh, listening is very hard to teach, or it's very hard to focus on our lessons. So as someone mentions, anxiety, affective filters. Yes, if you're not confident enough about the way you speak in English, then yes, you might be very insecure about what you're talking about. And for our students too, especially if you look at some of the youngsters, even though some of them, they're very audacious, so they make lots of mistakes, but they try to participate. But some of the very high level of students, even though they have a good background knowledges, they're very afraid of jumping and then say something because they're afraid of making mistakes, right? That could affect dramatically when it comes to the listening skills. And concentration memory, oh, our kids, after like 30 seconds, they're thinking about their like baby shark song in their head, or like tacos that they're gonna eat, lunchbox, extra. And words limitation, yes. Background knowledges, yes. And if the environment is not friendly, quiet, calm kind of environment, yes, it's very hard for them to focus, right? And characteristics of language. This is one of the things that we find it very difficult when you're not a native speakers, right? So these are all the factors that we can think of. So here, wow, a lot, right? So this is one of the examples of, oops, sorry. Yes, we have it. This is one of the examples of language characteristic. Since I do understand the Spanish and Koreans, we have very like phonetic language. So we do not have much of these symptoms in our mother tongue. So whenever we listen to this like figures, we get confused, and then it's really hard for us to figure out the words itself or the meaning and the nuance and an extra. If you look at the first one, we do not say she wears a dress, right? When we read this sentence, we often say she wears a dress, right? So for our students, it's similar to the address, right? So it's very causing their confusion over there. And then also, if you look at the contraction, we didn't say we got to go to school, right? We got to go to school. And then third one, she sat next to the wall. Next to the wall. Would you like to go? Would you like to go? So these kind of things, it's very hard for our students to understand the exact meaning of the sentence. That's why even though you don't have a separate listening like class in your program, I recommend you to have like audio session, for example, so they can listen to this flow of the sentence, and then also this linking, contraction, elision, assimilation kind of the figures by their ears, so they get used to this kind of the characteristics of English. And then let's look at the second one. So one of the English characteristic, they're quite rhythmic, right? I'm not sure how many of you are into, oh, someone has an audio problem? It's okay? Okay, so, okay. So if you, I'm not sure how many of you are a fan of Korean dramas or movie. So if you watch that dramas and the movies with the subtitle, one thing that you would notice, we do not have much tone, right? This is kind of the way we speak in Korean. And then one thing that I noticed while I was traveling through the Central South America, my Mexican fellows, you have more like flat voice than like Caribbean, like Latinos or Peruvians or Colombian. So we do have those different intonations, stress, accent, and then rhythm, right? So this affect a lot when it comes to the meaning conveying in English. For example, if you look at this, how are you this morning, right? It's a simple sentence. We do ask this question a lot to coworkers, but how are you this morning? How are you this morning? How are you this morning? Means a bit different, right? So when I learn a language, it was very hard to get the nuance because this intonation and then stress rhythm was quite different from what I learned the language from Korea. So I like to share this experience. When I moved to Las Vegas for the first time, Las Vegas is known for its casino, right? So we went to the casino, but I couldn't find the entrance. So I asked the guard, where is the casino? But back then, I asked, where is casino? And he couldn't understand me. So I tried everything, casino, 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 but he couldn't understand. So I had to write that down. And then after I write it down, he goes, oh, casino, right? So that's very common. So first, I would guess like 3 years, it was very hard for me to catch with this intonation, rhythm, and an accent because my language was quite bookish back then. So my fellow students, probably they have the same issues with it. So it's very important, once again, I told you, incorporate lots of listening to audio and then authentic audio for them so they can be familiar with those actual people saying, not like very like recorded ESL friendly like audio clips out there. So is that clear? Okay. I mentioned that, oh, these are all the hard things that when it comes to listening, then you might be curious then, oh, can I teach listening skills to my students, right? It seems very hard, but yes, you can definitely help your students train their ears. So that's all about training. And I know that you are great teachers, so good listener interactive process. When you develop this listening classes, you have to keep that in mind that yes, they're beginners, intermediate, advanced. They need to have those right words, sounds, phoneme, syllable, like inputs, but at the same time, you need to have some contents in it, such as background knowledges, theme. So you don't want to have, you don't want them to isolate those words and then sounds versus background knowledges and theme. When we think about our reading class, you would understand better, right? Now we don't isolate our reading class with some of the random, not authentic reading material for our students. Now I know that most of the LATAM countries, they incorporate those Creole education into their reading program. That's a very like vivid reason why you're doing it, because yes, you want them to have language input, but at the same time, you want them to gain some background knowledges and then theme-based information for that. I think listening, you can incorporate these elements as well too. Okay, let's get going. So here, then next, how to build your listening lessons. Let's get going. First, well, it's similar to speaking and then writing sessions too. And sometimes, yes, reading classes too. When we teach language, we want them to have some acknowledges about the theme and then sentence structure that they're going to listen, read, write, and speak, right? So quite amount of the sentence structure input is very important. So once you give them all those sentences, then they are quite confident enough to utilize those sentence structures in their listening, speaking, and then writing. In this case, they can listen those specific sentence structure by listening to them. And then since you want them to develop those test-taking skills and also daily conversational skills too. So it's very important to incorporate monologues and the dialogues in your lessons. Through this monologue and then dialogue cooperation, they can find the main idea, details, for example, important details and then sequence and then specific points during their conversation or during their monologues. Is that clear? Okay, good. Now we're gonna see some of the examples, how you can build it. Okay, let's get going. What is she doing? Right. Miss Ko did it at 4:30 this morning. Yes, good. And let's look at the second one over here. What she's doing over here. Second picture that I'm pointing at. Getting dressed, right? Good. And then third one over here. Feed my dog. Good job. Yes, that's the most important in the morning, right? And then I know that Koreans, Mexicanos, all the Latinos, we are all crazy about this sports. Play soccer, training soccer, playing soccer. Good job, guys. And the next one over here, this one. Play guitar. Good, good. Who's Norma? Norma is on fire. I noticed that. Good. And then the next one over here. Doing some research, studying, Zooming online classes, doing homework, surfing the internet, extra, right? So you guys did a great job. Then this is one of the key elements that I want you to focus on during this listening session. So what's gonna be the theme of these lessons? Anyone in the, oh, someone says routine, actions, daily routine, daily activity. You guys are amazing. Yes, we are going to learn about how to describe routines and then distinguishing a person's routine by listening to them. Yes, we could definitely say everyday activity too. Good job, everyone. So let's get going. Oops, once again. I think here. So first, yes, we're gonna look into key expressions like sentence structure input for our students. Since we are gonna discuss about what we do around the day, our routines, they need to focus on the things of activities so they can freely discuss about it and also understanding by listening to them. And then since we're discussing about the routine, time expression is very key point over here, right? Important. So this is our sentence structure and then key expression like stress out over here. So since we already, even though we already did this, we already previewed this picture, let's review once more with it. So I'm going to go to the first one over here. So she is brushing her teeth, right? So the answer that matches with A through F, what is it? Can you find brush my teeth? Good job, everyone. Good, good. And then let's look at the second one over here. She's getting dressed, right? Get dressed. See, you guys are on fire. Love it. And then third picture over here. F, feed my pet. Good job. And then let's look at this one. He is doing surf the internet. Good job, everyone. And then next one over here. Practice the guitar. Good. And then this one. Have soccer plays. Practice or play soccer. Good, everyone. You did a great job. I love this participation. Amazing. Okay, so now we're going to do a little like fun activity. So what we are going to do now, for example, I will show you the picture over here, and then you need to remember the sentence structure. So write them down on the chat room. For example, if you see this picture, the sentence structure is gonna be practice the guitar, right? Is that clear? Are you all ready? Good? Okay, so let's look at the next one. What is this? What is this? Good. Chitali was the first one. Is that the right pronunciation? Good job. And ready for the next one? Good. What is this? Good. Nora, good job. The first one. Okay, the next one here. Let's see. Ooh, Norma, back on fire. Good job. Okay, so next one. Zoom class, I love that answer too. Okay, here. Maida, good job. Good job, everyone. And first one. Okay, so you did a great job over here. Brush your teeth. Who's the first one? Let's see. Norma again. Good job. So you did a great job. So through these activities, I wanted you to write down a sentence because this is our situation right now. But once you're handling with your students, like 20, 30, then you can just unmute their mic for a while and then they can actually say the sentence. And then at the end of the classroom, if they're familiar with this sentence structure, if they're ready to write them down, then you can make them write and then read the sentence too. You might be curious, oh, you mentioned that this is the listening class, right? But this is a writing and then speaking too, right? But the thing is, you don't isolate any of those. It's hard for them to just listen and understand and then not be able to say something or write something. As an English teacher, you want to have those well-around kind of lesson. So once you give them this sentence structure, they can utilize this in their speaking, writing. Also, you want them to understand when they listen to these sentences. Okay, good job. Now we're gonna have a little fun bingo board game. Do you guys have a piece of paper and a pencil? Yes? Or you need a... Okay, good. Roger says yes, yes, you're all ready. Good. Good, everyone. I love this group. This is the teachers like kind of paradise kind of the group, I guess. So what we are going to do is I want you to draw this bingo board over here. So 9 grid, Is it okay? So I will give you just 10 seconds. We are all adults, grown up. We have fine motor skills, right? So, good. Have you finished? Okay, good. Now we are going to look at these words over here, sentence structure. Some of them you already cover with me, and some of them they're new. So let's look at the first one. Brush my teeth, right? And then second sentence structure over here. Practice the piano. Good. And then this one, practice soccer. Yes. Most of Koreans, Latinos, they're crazy about this one. And then feed my pet, the most important routine in the morning. Good. And get dressed, surf the internet, have soccer practice, practice the guitar, have breakfast. So now what we are going to do, you are going to write down any one of these, one of each in this section. Is that clear? So after you fill in all this blank, we're gonna have a little like bingo game. Is it clear? Good? Okay, I will give you just 10 seconds. Lucero's done? Wow. Did you really? Okay, have you finished, everyone? Good. Okay, so now I will show you one phrase at a time. So either you have these three rows or these three rows, this and this, or these, this. Any three in a row, you are the winners. Is that clear? Good? Okay, so now I assume that you all have this 9 grid bingo board. So are you ready for the first one? Let's get going. Good. Get dressed. Good job. Now, oh, by the way, if you have a bingo, just say bingo on the chatting room. Okay, good. And the next one, let's see. Feed my pet. Okay, the next one. Practice the guitar. Anyone? Bingo? Ooh, Chitali and Carla, Nerio. All big hands. Oh, Roger too. I'm a little suspicious, Roger, but I'll buy that. Good job, everyone. Good. So once you play, yes, avocado boy once. Good. So when you play this one, you can make them say the sentence praise too. But once you show the get dressed, then they are gonna yell at you like get dressed, and then check on the bingo, and then feed my pet, and then check on the bingo. And then when they finish everything, they have a camera on the computer so they can show their like the bingo board to you, so you can kind of praise them with the any kind of weird structure that you have, sticker right next to their name or check boxes. So when you guys finally meet, I'm not sure it's gonna happen within this year, but you can definitely kind of praise them, or since that extra. Well, you can use this for the reading class and then speaking or writing class too. So, okay, now you did a all great job, and then let's get going. And now we are going to go into dialogue section, because when you listen to two-person having a dialogue, you often get distracted, right? So our students need to get training when it comes to find out the main ideas and then details and then extra. So if you look at this, one of this example, oh, this boy is quite busy, right? So if you look at the first one, oh, his name is Ralph, right? So we're gonna look at Ralph's routine in a right order. So if you look at that first one, what is he doing? A, he's going to bed, right? Good job, everyone. And then he's brushing his teeth. And then, oh, look at his sad face, right? This must be our students' face when we give them lots of homework, right? So he's doing his homework. Good job. And then this one. He's playing a game, surfing the internet or whatever. And what about E over here? He's watching TV, right? You all got the right one. So now what I like you to do, you listen to the audio file, and then according to what you hear, I want you to put this in the right order for Ralph's routine. Is that clear? Do you want me to repeat it? Clear? Good. I really want to see you, Norma, in person, if we have a time, if you have a chance. So, okay, so now listen carefully.
Main stage 1. A. Listen and put Ralph's routine in the right order.
Hi, Ralph. You look really tired. Oh, hi, Dora. I'm tired. Actually, I usually go to bed really late. Why? What do you do it?
Okay, someone says it's too, let's see, I will maximize the.
Main stage 1. A. Listen and put Ralph's routine in the right order.
Hi, Ralph. You look really tired. Oh, hi, Dora. I'm tired. Actually, I usually go to bed really late. Why? What do you do at night? Well, at 9 o'clock, I play a game. Then at 10:30, I watch TV. What? When do you do your homework? Well, at 11:15, I do my homework. Before that, I brush my teeth around 11. Wow, 11? Then what time do you go to bed? I go to bed at 12 o'clock. That's too late. Yes, it is. I want to go to bed earlier.
Oh, you guys are on fire. Good. So let's look at the first one. What's the first one? D. Most of you got right. Good job. And let's see. E. Is that B or C? Right? B first. He brushes his teeth first, and then he does his homework and go to bed. Quite interesting, right? We often get quite distracted with this one too. So listen to this audio once more.
Main stage 1. A. Listen and put Ralph's Ralph's routine in the right order.
Hi, Ralph. You look really tired. Oh, hi, Dora. I'm tired. Actually, I usually go to bed really late. Why? What do you do at night? Well, at 9 o'clock, I play a game. Then at 10:30, I watch TV. What? When do you do your homework? Well, at 11:15, I do my homework. Before that, I brush my teeth around 11. Wow, 11? Then what time do you go to bed? I go to bed at 12 o'clock. That's too late. Yes, it is. I want to go to bed earlier.
Oops, sorry. My finger, I think. Okay. So I guess most of you got that right. So he's doing his homework 11:15. And then before that, he brushed his teeth, right? So good, everyone. Now, let's get to the second dialogue that we're going to listen. I love to listen this dialogue because it reminds me of my school days a lot too. So now you're going to listen to Jack and Natalie's conversation. What we are going to do from now on, you focus on what Natalie's doing after school. So if that is related to Jack, then no, you don't need to answer. But if, oh, this activity, this is what Natalie's doing after work, after school, then you write down these, oops, okay. Sorry. Okay, sorry about this computer. So when you listen to the audio, focus on what Natalie is doing after class. Is that clear? I was mumbled too much, so I hope you understood. Good? Okay, so now I'm going to play the audio.
Main stage 2. A. Listen and put the correct after-school activities.
Hey, Natalie, where are you going? Hey, Jack, I'm going to my piano lesson. Oh, yeah? What time is your piano lesson? Do you want to hang out afterwards? Well, I have my piano lesson at 4:30. Then I have tennis practice at 7. Okay, how about tomorrow? Tomorrow is Thursday. I have Science Academy at 5:20. Oh, that's too bad. What time do you have your lessons, Jack? I don't have any. I go home after school and play with my dog, do my homework, and go to bed around 10. Wow, that sounds like a nice day.
Did you get it? Okay, poor Natalie, right? But that was most of our life in Korea after school, I guess. So anyone who wanna answer these? A, B, and C. Camila, you're the first one. Oh, let's see. Nora this time was the first one. Good job. So she's practice the piano, and also she has a science club, and then she practiced tennis, right? Good, everyone. You can definitely make your students focus on these activities. And if I do this once more with you, then I want you to focus on the time expression too. So since this key expression goes both like what they're doing and also the time expression too, you can separate them for the first because it might be too much for them, but at the end as a whole, like you can make them listen to both and then check the answers and also timelines too. That would be a really nice expansion of it. Okay, good. Are you guys ready for the next one? Any question? If you have any questions along with, then please leave those on the chat box. I know that by now you guys are quite familiar with this system, right? So I will try to answer those at the end of this seminars. So let's get going. Good. You guys did a great job with the dialogue, but monologue is quite important format for them too. If you look at the intense English standardized test, then they gotta listen to monologue long passages, and then they need to find out the main idea, very important details, and also the sequences and an extra. So they need to have these trainings as well too. So let's get going. So now I just show you these 3 little like cute kids listening. So what we are going to do now, we are going to listen first and then discuss about what it is. So are you guys ready to listen? Okay, let's get going. Okay, something's off over here. Oops. Okay. Now, let's get going.
Main stage 3. A. Listen and choose the correct answers.
Hello, this is my hometown. I leave home for school at 8 every weekday. There is Mr. Potter, the baker. He bakes his bread at 8:15 every day. It's delicious. Oh, and there's Miss Kelly. She's a florist at the flower shop. She waters her flowers around 8:30. They smell wonderful. Oh, there's the bus stop. The bus driver, Mr. Thomas, drives me to school at 9:15. Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Wow, that's a lot, right? So before we get into actual Q&A and then training for your students, let's discuss what you hear, what you listen to. Routines, yes, I love that answer, Nora. And anyone else? Habits? Probably, but it's more like what they're doing, right? Someone start the day, but she described someone else's morning routines too, right? Not only for hers. Right, good job, everyone. Good, good. So now let's look at the next one over here. If you look at this one, I show you the answer. Sorry about that. But it's what is the story about? First, the morning routine, a person in town, right? She described the florist, bakers, and then bus drivers' morning routine, including hers, right? And let's look at the second options over here. The students of a new school, probably not, right? And then the school bus schedule, not, right? So answer is gonna be the first one. Well, sometimes if you have a book in front of you and then lead your students, then we often kind of display these answers in advance for our students. Once they look at these options, then what's gonna happen? They guess the answers and then they kind of get distracted when they listen to the audio, right? That's very common around the world. It's not only for Korean or like Latin American students. It happens everywhere. So before actually you get into this monologue lessons, what I can recommend is just make them close the book and then listen to this monologue and then you want them to focus on one thing at a time. So that would be a really nice pre-listening activity for your students, or listening without having any information kind of activity. So they can pick up the things by their own, and then once they get into this Q&A, they would have like, they would remember the better, compared to you just give them everything in front of them and then they just do the solving the problems, right? So since if you look at this, as I mentioned, she mentioned the bakers, florists, and then bus drivers, and then what they're doing in the morning, and then also time too. So you can kind of divide this into 4. And sometimes what I like to do is I divide my group into 4. So first group, I just give them the job. Can I say the job? Or bakers, florists, bus drivers, and the students. And then some of them that what they're doing, and then timeline. And then after they listen to all this audio, they can get together and then they can assemble which has the right things. And then three of them, they have all the right information in their hand. So you can definitely have a variety of the exercise with your students. So let's look at the next slide over here. Now we are going to listen again, and then I want you to write down the correct time for just florist. Is that clear? Florist. No baker, no students, no bus driver. Only florist. Clear, everyone? Good. Let's get going.
Bakes his bread.
Ooh.
B.
Okay, what's wrong?
B. Listen again. Then write the correct times.
Hello, this is my hometown. I leave home for school at 8 every weekday. There is Mr. Potter, the baker. He bakes his bread at 8:15 every day. It's delicious. Oh, and there's Miss Kelly. She's a florist at the flower shop. She waters her flowers around 8:30. They smell wonderful. Oh, there's the bus stop. The bus driver, Mr. Thomas, drives me to school at 9:15. Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Oh, thank you a lot for the great participation, right? You did a great job. So let's look at the first one. What's the answer of this, students? Time to go to school?
B.
Oh,
Listen again.
no.
B. Listen again.
Kelly, she's a florist at the
Okay. 8 o'clock, right? Good job. And then baker, he bakes the bread at 8:15. Good. And then all the answer, you did a great job. 8:30. How about bus driver? 8:45. Camila, you did a great job. You guys did a great job. So you can definitely play this with your students. And then sometimes it has lots of expression like quarter before, quarter after, quarter past. So you have to definitely preview them with those elements in it. And then if they get confused, what I like to do, sometimes I bring a rear clock to show them the time. And then right after, while they're listening, I show the time so they can remember those two. You did a great job. So, well, you did a great job with those sentence structure input with me, key expression input, and also the monologues, dialogues, finding the main idea, and then details. You guys did a great job. And then this lesson planning is kind of one of the example And then this kind of thing you can definitely cooperate with your current reading program with the audio. So you can make them focus on one element at a time, or you can find some of the listening materials for you to use. So I just use this listening stage of Build and Grow. So it's book 1 and then unit 3. So routines. So you understand what you did, what you kind of played with throughout this 1 hour. I think you guys did a great job when it comes to the participation. One of the things that I like to focus on is, even though you focus on one like elements, for example, right now we focus on this listening skills, but you never isolate those from other skills too, right? So if you look at this reading, speaking, and then writing book from Build and Grow, you would notice that we try to incorporate all those elements. So even though main skill development is listening, but they gain the overall English development skills. So you don't need to worry too much about other like skills as well. Okay, so for I guess almost an hour, you did a wonderful job. And then it's, even though whenever I have a webinar with you guys, I have to wake up at 4:30 and extra, but it's a great day, the how to start a day for me. So I really appreciate that, and then great participation. So before we end this webinar, if you have any questions or any concerns, please leave a comment. I will get back to you in just like 1 minute, and then we'll see how it goes. Okay, thank you a lot.